A. Kendrick with another tale from the vault of Would You Dare. You guys know how we do everything supernatural, extraterrestrial, ultra-dimensional, the whole nine, alright? early where I'm at. Let's say it's about 4 something. I gotta get up and get ready for that fitness training. But all of that being said, you know, guys, we just did a video. We just did a little podcast, a little video not too long ago, I think last week, about CERN. Now, I came across this article, and it isn't just CERN, right? It's not just CERN. It is another group, and it is they supposedly have a Stargate. Now, you guys got to understand something. There are, and the Stargate, what they're talking about in the Stargate is just completely, it's almost like the flip side of what's happening at CERN. I'm sorry, at CERN in Switzerland. CERN, forgive me, CERN. It's the same, it's not even the same concept of how they're doing it. You know, it's amazing. So, what I'm going to do is, you guys know how I do. I don't like to stop and start and interrupt and impede in the stories. So, you know, as usual, the party don't start till you walk in. Now that you're here, let's begin. We talk about everything supernatural, extraterrestrial, ultra-dimensional, serial killers, demonic, spirits, haunting, portals. We talk about it all here, right? One shot, one take. Here you can come and imagine what you used to reimagine. Or reimagine what you used to imagine as a kid. And you can feel safe here and not be judged by it. Somebody got to do it. We're going to keep pursuing this thing until the truth comes out, okay? It's a lot of truth out there. Trying to figure out where to go this year for my road trip, but the way this thing in Iran is going, it's going to be very, very, it seems like it's going to be tough. And if you guys have ever been in the military, you know what I'm talking about. But let's get started. Fair use YouTube. Fair use. Let me shrink this thing down. All right. Now this situation here is from UAMAN TV. Shout out to them, but again, fair use. And I'm really impressed with this. So you guys, check it out. Check out what they have to say about Stargates. Check it out.
They've been using Stargates or their own Stargates within the US. They've been able to go through portals and travel onto other worlds from the US and using those technologies within those agencies. But those people are usually hybrids, so they know they're hybrids, but they're also working for the government. A regular person, like a regular agent, would not be able to go through those Stargates, for example. Lately speaking, I was communicating with agents working for the CIA and also for the SSP, who, you know, sometimes agents from the CIA works for the SSP and vice versa. So what happened was those guys are literally telling me that they are working with alien technology, but in order to work with them and to be able to use them, they have to be or have enough knowledge about themselves and about the technology. Otherwise, the machines won't be functional. So, but they are human beings. However, they have knowledge, not just to make them function, because they are either like engineers or specialty engineers or agents in the field. Doesn't matter what it is. At the end of the day, those technologies are so advanced that sometimes it requires more than just being humans to use them, even if they are accessible to humans. So for that purpose, the Pleiadians, for example, have unlocked certain components within those agents so they can actually use those machines and help the governments they work for. So that's just one aspect of it. For example, they've been using Stargates or their own Stargates within the US. They've been able to go through portals and travel onto other worlds from the US and using those technologies within those agencies. But those people are usually hybrids, so they know they're hybrids, but they're also working for the government. A regular person, like a regular agent, would not be able to go through those Stargates, for example.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
So there's various countries and intelligence apparatuses around the world, all sharing the same problems
Yes.
and working with the same species.
Yes.
And they've all come to the same conclusion that they need hybrids to help access some of these techs, like a port.
That's correct.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Not just hybrids. For example, like we talked in the past about the Stargates in Iraq and how the SSP engineers were working and the scientists were working with that Stargate and for those Anunnaki beings to come through. So the SSP was already working with those beings. Or communicating with them at least, but I don't believe that they were going through the portals of the Stargates themselves.
Oh, okay.
It was only one access for them, and that's it. But in Australia, for example, when I worked with intelligence officers there was one officer in particular who was picked and chosen to work for the SSP there, and he was telling me stories about what he was doing with those ETs that they were physically interacting with.
Okay.
For fun. Just to
For
learn.
fun.
Yeah.
So check that out. ETs. They're working with ETs. CERN is supposedly working with CERN. And if you see the rituals in the last video, you'll see what I'm talking about. Let me keep going.
Just to learn. So for example, there was one race in particular that was a stick being that looked like a broomstick with arms and legs. And they were like yellowish, pretty much like the same ones that were held at the Sandia Labs facility that I talked about in the previous episode. And when I was working with those people, what came out of that was those alien beings working with the SSP in Australia were in control. The SSP was not in control.
A control of what? The relationship? Or
they were pretty much controlling the relationship. So if they decided, we don't want to work for you anymore, we go. And there's nothing that those agents could have done. And
we're still talking about the stick beings here.
We're still talking about the stick beings, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What stands out to me here is how quickly this shifts from simple contact to control. Because if these beings were setting the terms, guiding the exchange, and deciding what was shared,
these things, these people, these entities, whatever you want to call them, the aliens or whatever, they're the ones setting the parameters on how much information they want to share. And if they basically don't want to share the information, they cut it off. They stop it. And there's nothing that the U.S. or whatever government is involved can do about it. They just bypass and keep it pushing. That's kind of scary in the big scheme of things. So now we have CERN possibly letting demonic entities into this realm, which is what me and a guy talked about back in 2009 at Dave and Buster's, ex-military personnel there. And you guys saw the video way before any of the stuff that you guys are hearing right now had popped up. They chose the parameters. They chose how they're going to deal. Let me jump forward. A bit.
The cosmic maps allows you to navigate through the cosmos, but also breaking the barriers of space and time. So you can use it as a time traveler. You can go back in a specific region or portal in space to go back to an actual time or specific time on Earth or elsewhere.
Really?
Yes.
Well, this is correlating with other recent whistleblowers who've come on Cosmic. So This is a roadmap to the universe, but also showing you where the portals are that you can jump in and out and go where you want.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they talk about also traveling in time through these portals or just moving through present time?
No. All sorts of times.
Really?
Each portal has a different specific location and time.
Oh, wow.
So it's and this is very complex to the cosmos. And it can be accessed through it's like an elastic band. You can stretch it, so a mothership can go through it, or one person can go through it, depending on what is the need.
Okay.
So each one of those access points can be stretched to on demand.
Wow, that's
based on whatever is confronted to that portal. So you go in front of it, and then the portal automatically knows what is the requirements for space and size to come through.
Wow, I don't want to go into too many details, but this is like paralleling another conversation I just had. This is really, really fascinating.
Yes.
Do you know if these portals are engineered or they're just naturally in the universe?
Both.
Both?
Yes. So There are both portals. There are portals that are man-made, using ancient technologies that the Pleiadians, even the Dracos have created. And then there are also some natural portals in space that were analyzed, identified, pretty much the same way as we identify stars in the cosmos, like, with our telescopes, and can just say, okay, well, we can identify this one and put a name to it. They have the same ability with portals in space, and see how they react. They can go through it, come to a certain time and space and location, and then go back using a different portal, because the same portal cannot be used twice.
Really? Okay.
No.
So once you go in once, it shuts down forever?
It's a one-way portal. So when you go through a portal, it brings you back to a specific time and space, into a location. So let's say the Pleiadians come from the future. They want to go back to planet Earth, let's say 200 BC or whatever, and then they want to go back to that time. They have to use a different portal to go back to that time. They can't use the same portal they came in through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really, really fascinating. So the portal's still there. Like when they go through it, it's still there. They just can't exit that same portal.
That's right.
That's what you're saying.
That's
okay.
correct.
Thanks for the clarity. And what is the closest portal to Earth?
There are some on Earth. Lots of portals on Earth directly. I mean,
You talk about stargates or just something different?
No, portals. I mean, we have portals all over the planet. Like if you go to Peru alone, you can see those portals that they have shaped like basically doorways on walls that can be activated. So you can go through that. We don't have the technology to do that, but local shamans, and I talked to one of them recently, like a week ago, that told me that they go through those portals because they can activate it through frequencies.
Really?
But it's a one-way street.
Oh, yeah.
So they usually don't go all in. They just put their heads through it, and then they can see what's on the other side, and they can feel the energy from it, whatever it is. But
so you're gonna put your head through a portal and not worry about it being cut off. Okay.
I think it's like a different way of activating it, I guess, from what it used to be used in the past, or how it used to be used in the past. Mm-hmm. So yes, there are many portals on planet Earth, even into the ocean, above the ocean, in the air. Like there are so many places.
This is where the story starts to open up in a much bigger way. Because now we're not just talking about unusual beings or secret programs. Now we're talking about maps, routes, and access points. A whole hidden structure behind how movement through space and time might actually work. And if that idea is even partly true, then a lot of old stories about stargates start to sound...
Okay, I'm gonna jump forward a little bit. This is crazy to me, because when you stop and think about all the things you've seen in TV, the TV show Stargate that was on a while back, the movie that they made about it. And again, what we're facing now is Stargates, man-made or alien-made, and then CERN doing their thing with the Hadron Collider, and it's allowing portals to be made and things to come through, demonic things to come through, leaving scarfs and things. It's just this is a lot to take in. So you guys, I had actually wrote, because they keep talking about portals all over the planet. I remember writing a book called Skyhammer, and what I had theorized was the Nazca lines. Some of them look like runways, and I had theorized that some of those runways are portals at the end, but they're only open by certain frequencies. And because of all the testing with the nuclear weapons across the planet, that's why the aliens have come to our planet, because the nuclear energy released lets them know that we're an advanced civilization, or we are somewhat advanced, maybe not as advanced as they are, but the energy is siphoned off because these are ancient portals that they've allowed to happen on the planet, and then they're siphoned off, and the energy goes to the end of those runways that look like portals. Into those runways, and at the end of portals that are not visible or not active by what we can do, but it keep the energy, the nuclear explosion energy goes there and keeps it open, so they can come in and out of our dimension, and time skip and distance jump as much as they'd like to. That's just one of the books that I wrote called Skyhammer, from the Destiny versus Chaos series. Let me get ahead a little bit, you guys.
back in the day, which is really interesting. But what can you share about France and its cooperation or relationship with different ETs?
Yes, that's very interesting because I wasn't aware of that myself, and I was surprised when I was told by one of the secret services in France telling me that the French government had worked with the gray aliens for the last 50 years.
Okay, really?
And that was big news to me. Obviously, it's not surprising, but the fact that the French had knowledge, and not just knowledge, but also bases of crafts in the Alps, for example, close to the German border and the Swiss border, and they had bases over there. There's also Jean-Pierre Petit, who was like a French scientist who was working for a main scientific lab in Paris, and then he got contacted by some aliens or messages through documents called the UMITs. And the UMITs had information on reverse engineering or technology. He was a scientist, so he looked at the codes, and the codes were very advanced. And so he believed that like a regular hoaxer would have done that. It was too complex, and he wrote about it. And, he was fired from his job from making it public. But what I've discovered was the French equivalent of NASA also have developed technologies to create glass holes, portals, inside of a lab on a smaller scale. And I talked to one of the scientists who told me and explained, again, for fun, saying that while they were doing the experiments, they were throwing Coca-Cola bottles through the glass hole. The bottle was disappearing, and on the screen, they could see its path going to someplace in the cosmos. It's almost like they were able to harness one of those natural portals that they were able to bring back into this lab on a smaller scale. I don't know how they were doing it, but that's what they're trying to explain to me. So that portal was not fixed in place. It was movable.
So they didn't create a portal. They moved it into a lab.
They moved it into a lab on a smaller space, and throwing that can was enough to show that the portal recognized that was the only space needed. So it stayed small. When they threw the can, it was staying in the same dimension as the can. It was not going any bigger or trying to be expanding to the point that it could literally swallow the whole lab, right? So it stayed in a very controlled zone in the lab to use small objects, only using small objects to throw through and trying to find out where it was going.
I have like 80 questions. So the portals adapt to the size of the object trying to walk through it.
That's
so if you walk through it, it'd be like, oh, I'll get a little bigger for you.
Yes, that's right.
And then the Coke bottle does that.
Yes.
And it just does it intuitively? It just knows what's,
It knows itself. It knows how to adapt to whatever shape and forms come through.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah. All right, just to clarify what you mean by glass portal or glass hole, right? That's not actually glass, right?
No, it's not glass. Okay. But this is, again, I'm only repeating the names that those guys repeated because I remote viewed the actual portal itself and the whole experience, and I was.
He said remote view. Okay.
Able to see it, looking like a glass, like a drinking glass, and so it felt like you could see. If you look at from the bottom of a glass, you can see the shapes distorting and and pretty much the same thing as what you see through that portal. Okay. You could see the lab behind the actual glass hole, so you could see the lab. It was distorted. So it's not like you were able to see through it and see what's in the cosmos. You were only seeing what was in the lab, but in a distorted manner.
But this was less about where they were going. It was more about moving the portal around and using the portal.
That's interesting. I don't know how they were doing it. Again, I do believe that they used the help of the Greys to move that portal. I think the Greys, pretty much like all races, have access to that cosmic map that we talked about.
Yeah.
So the Greys have access to the same maps, but they also have access to other portals on the planet. Where they know where they're located, they use it to even send their crafts through, and sometimes to escape curiosity from most people, and sometimes even our own military.
And this may be the point where the whole thing feels less theoretical. Because once the conversation shifts toward...
Now, this could be pointing to the Peruvian Nazca lines. Like I speculated in a book that I wrote. Now, my book was sci-fi, but I'd done some research, and that's what I came up with. I don't know how much more. Like I said, I don't know who this guy is, but Gaia is a pretty good point of reference. Let me stop it here. Let me check something out. Let me check something out because this is AI.
Anything publicly acknowledged.
Question.
Okay, so that's what he has. He's saying that there are alien beings that have helped out in this scenario. Now, this is just crazy to me because you have to think, man. There are so many things going on. We have so many things going on in the world, and if you into any of the religious prophecies and prophetic messages, this is what you're seeing. Again, I encourage you guys to check out a book called Behold the Pale Horse. I read this book way back when I was, young. So it was a good book about what you see happening right now, the New World Order and portals and all of these things, man. It's just crazy. Like, let me tie. What I want to do now is I want to tie just a little bit of what the lady from CERN that we had witnessed last time. I just want to tie in a little bit of what she said, okay? Just a little bit because let me tie it in. Now, this is kind of scary, looking at that.
A lot of people in Geneva who have gone against the CERN many times, fearing for their health.
This is supposed to be an actual explosion that happened. I don't know if it's CGI generated or AI generated, but this is supposed to be something that happened with CERN.
For explosion, and especially because in 2018, in 2018, there was an explosion in the CERN with lightning, and there are pictures that I did not send you yet, next time. And this lightning made the CERN stop and close from 2018 to 2021. The CERN was closing some of their departments. So people said that they don't want CERN anymore there. And so there is a population consciousness that it is not healthy. And I have been asking if there were more cancers around CERN than any other place. And of course they say no, but we could certainly do a correlation analysis if we had the right data.
Wow, I hadn't even considered the local issues.
Let me stop it there. You see what I'm talking about? So this is the thing that's complicated to me. Is CERN seems to be acting on a more spiritual, demonic situation, right? And the other topic, the Stargates, right? Scientists theorizing on the Stargate and throwing objects into this portal that is man-made, like the Stargate, the TV show. They're operating on a extraterrestrial entity exchange, from what I've ascertained, right? And they have hybrids. So no matter how you look at it, you got one, which is the Stargate people working with the Stargates and extraterrestrial. We have those individuals, and these ETs, extraterrestrials, are telling them, hey, we're only going to give you so much, and as soon as we feel like we don't want to give you no more information, we'll cut it off right there. That's dangerous. Because you don't know what these things want in its totality. You don't know what they want. You really have no idea what these things, these creatures, these beings want with us, with humanity. If they abduct people, as they say they could possibly be doing, abducting people and taking them away, right? Telling you in your mind that it's okay, it's not going to hurt, and you're going through all these pains, and when they go to regressive memories under hypnosis, right? They have all these horror stories about what's happening to them. You took these people against their will. Why would you not? Why are you doing that? What is your ulterior motive? These are questions that we don't have answers to because we can't speak to them. Most of the time they say they're talking to you telepathically. They can make you see what they want you to see. I mean, what are we doing? If this is true, what are we doing? Why are we playing games? And you have the CERN with the demonic entities coming through, like the guy said. They're coming through the dang on the portals. And he said there were doctors and bodies and people dead when his unit got dispatched. Look at how all this stuff is tying in. You guys can go back and look at the last video that we did about this. This is crazy, man. This is people messing around with, always people messing with stuff they should not be messing with. And what's to say there haven't been deals made with the government to allow them to abduct certain people or a certain amount of people? They said they did that before. And every time I talk about that particular instance, I don't get the viewership on it. So there that is. So what's going on? I think you guys are tired of what's going on and you want answers. And then think about this. This is just a whole step to the right? We haven't come to the middle point or to get to the left side of what's going on. Look at all the stuff in the middle and on the left side. And we're just talking about a small portion of what's going on with other life and entities and things like that, or like this. This has got to make you think. You should question everything and share your experiences. You can come here and share your experiences with me. Like I say right now, last time a sub actually went with me, and I thank all you subs for signing up. I really appreciate you guys. Last sub we had, she got more than she bargained for. In fact, I actually got more than I bargained for too. I've seen the big four in separate entities and certain circumstances at different times. I've never seen all four. When I say entities, I mean like the spirit. I've seen more of the spiritual stuff than I have anything else. So what I'll do is I'll make another video showing what you should do when you see paranormal or supernatural unexplains. And be prepared as best that you can. So what I'll do is I'll make a video for that. But this is one of those. These are the things that make you think. These are the things that should make you stop and question when you step outside and when you step out into a world, when you're looking at people, because they keep saying hybrids. CERN's not talking about hybrids. They're talking about demonic dances, rituals, humans acting crazy, opening portals, the U.S. military being called in, and then you got the Stargate, where the U.S. military or the U.S. government, according to this, allegedly is saying that they're fooling around with ETs who only share so much and then they're done. Ain't it funny? Because it's like they're getting the information that they need, then they're shutting things off. They're like, okay, no, never mind. And if this map of portals all over the universe, right? The galaxy, the universe, the solar system, whatever, right? This is tough. This is tough too. It's fascinating, but it's also tough to try to wrap your head around if you don't have an open mind. And I hope you guys are here for the open mindedness. Yes, I do fitness stuff as well. Got to get up here. Well, I got to get out here in a few minutes and get that run in. And it's what, 4:37 my time, a.m. Central Time. So again, I got to try to figure out where I'm going to go this year for my research, or just to knock it off my bucket list and say that, yes, this place does exist. You guys, I want you guys to think about this, all right? You guys just keep your head on a swivel, keep your mind open, keep everything and question everything, right? Teach your kids to question everything. There are things out here, man, that are just wild. And you know how we do. In closing, you guys, would you dare want to be cut out here next to a Stargate or something open?